Good morning, family. Can you hear me? My name is Carl Lewis Route Jr. There's a responsible fatherhood message in that introduction that we'll get to later. I am the Reaching Our Brothers Everywhere Community Engagement Coordinator, and I'm very glad to be in that position. I love what I do. I just turned 65 years old, so I'm really old enough to retire. But because of the work that I do and I've been given the opportunity to do with Reaching Our Sisters Everywhere, I've been reinvigorated. I've reinvented myself. I was on the responsible fatherhood side of this work where we dealt basically with provision, protection, and preparing, not much maternal and child health related work. Now that we're in the business of saving our mothers and children and our communities and strengthening relationships, I'm in a much better place. Even my own relationship as a result of my relationship with Reaching Our Sisters Everywhere and beginning to understand the issues around reproductive health and reproductive justice, I am reinvigorated. I love this work. And my wife says to me now with a little jealousy in her voice, you going to work today too? I love that, okay? I am a father of 7, responsible for 7 adult children, 4 men and 3 women, 13 grandchildren, married to the same woman for 38 years. Been with her for 40, was a very undeveloped man. She put up with a lot of stuff, had to deal with a lot of isms because I was trying to self-medicate, and take care of myself. So I ended up throwing bricks at the chain gang. That means I was so disillusioned by life in America that I sought escape. And that escape because of my immature response, being a young man, trying to respond to this oppressive colonizer in a way that didn't get me a life sentence for murder. I chose self-destruction, drugs, and things like that. But today, because of the work that I do this work because my why, being Carl Lewis Route, my name is spelled R-O-U-T-E, so when I got in classrooms, 1st grade, my teacher says, "How do you pronounce your name?" And I say, "I don't know. I'm 6 years old," because my dad is not there to tell me how to pronounce my name. So I go home and I say, "Mama, how do you pronounce this ugly name?" And she says, "Your daddy said it's Root." So I go back to school the next day, and the teacher, they always, "How do you pronounce your last name?" And I say, "I don't know. My daddy says Root." For me, walking in the marketplace, no confidence whatsoever. I don't want that for another young man. I don't want a young man. A father represents a whole lot of other things, but we're going down to the basic, like how to pronounce your name. That's important too. But this whole thing about maternal and child health, breastfeeding, learning about it, the benefits, oh my God, for the mother, the child, the community, the relationship to discuss it, I'm on cloud 9. Thank you all for having me. That's who I am.
Great morning, everyone. My introduction won't be as long as Carl. First of all, my name is Kevin Sherman. Not only am I a part of the Wisdom Council, I also represent the Fatherhood Program of Healthy Start in New Orleans. How important it is to me is very important. This work is very serious work. That's why I won't take a long introduction, because I want to get to the serious business of why we are here this morning. Right? We're here to get a better understanding of why so many people and organizations that represent women are giving a bad distaste to these women about men because of their bad experiences. That's what I'm here to discuss. this morning. So I'll pass it to the next person.
We'll make sure we get there. Brother Reggie.
Good morning. So my name is Reginald Day. I am a CLC. I'm a certified lactation counselor. And I'm excited to be here. You know, I was sharing with some of the brothers. I remember being on the camera taking photos and just admiring everything going on. So I'm actually excited to be here, to be at this table. But I'm grateful for the opportunity to even be a CLC. So if you've been part of the, some of the sessions that have been going on, SEMI, which is an organization based out of Michigan, Southeast Michigan, IBCLCs, they actually afforded me the opportunity to break into the work. And I know it's one of the questions that have been asked in WOVA, so I'm sure we'll get to that. But because of that opportunity, I was able to get into this work to really further my passion for fathers. And so it's actually been life transforming for me. I went through a whole career change about 3 months ago actually, because of my passion for this work. It's transformed my life, it's transformed my marriage. People ask, how can you work with your wife? I said, we just make it happen. And so it actually strengthened our marriage. So I'm excited to be here. I'm excited for what we're gonna get into today.
Thank you.
Hello, everybody. I'm Calvin Williams. What he said.
What do you mean by that, Calvin?
This, I'm a CLC as well.
All right.
And we were just standing there talking out there a few minutes ago, man, and I was entranced. I'm like, I'm standing here talking to another black male CLC. That's incredible. So, So Greg Long reminded me Wednesday when we were walking into the hotel, this is where it all started for me. So before I came to the 6th Annual Rose Breastfeeding Summit, I had never thought about breastfeeding 1 minute in my life, period. Never heard of it, never seen it. And now I'm a CLC helping fathers support breastfeeding, man. That's amazing to me. So I'm president of Lucian Families. That's the little company I run, you know. But I also work as the fatherhood coordinator for Hamilton County, which is in Ohio, Cincinnati area. Hamilton County Job and Family Services, our human services agency. I am also Clarence Williams' son and Aaron Williams' father. And that is the summation of the beauty of my life.
All right. Thank you.
Right?
All right, so we're going to go in reverse order, starting with Calvin. If you could share in your personal experience or from your all's lives, some barriers that men face. We'll go all the way through with barriers, and then we'll come back and talk about successes.
Barriers that men face to
Fatherhood, breastfeeding, co-parenting.
Yeah. I think the first thing is when Patrick was talking, he used the phrase, it's an oft-used phrase, boys to men. And it made me think about that we might need an effort to get boys to boys, given how many boys' childhood is robbed from them with regards to the family situation, violence, homelessness, lack, poverty, and those type of things. And so to me, that's where we need to focus on, is these hurt, broken, misunderstood boys. We know how the school system treats black boys, right? We talk about jail and prisons, but the school system does its due too, right? With regards to considering them older than they are, considering that they don't have feelings, these type of things. So the barriers start there, right? Because men move into fatherhood in 1,000 different ways, right? And these men are moving into fatherhood, as Patrick illustrated, from a broken place. And so one of the things that we're focusing on in Hamilton County, Ohio, is fathers and mental health. So we have a second research project, community-based research project going on to engage men, fathers, about their mental health. So in all the years that I've been doing the work, I would say mental health, and I don't mean mental health is like it's polarized. You're either healthy or you're crazy, right? It's like all along that spectrum, you know, guys are falling And it is hurting their ability to be the fathers they want to be. It's hurting their ability to have the relationship they want to have. And it's hurting their ability to even keep a job, right? Because of all the turmoil that's going on inside them. So I would start with that is the barrier, right? What they come out of boyhood with and the lack of supports for their mental health and emotional well-being.
Thank you.
So I'm gonna just piggyback off of that. So in Detroit, where I live, we do focus on some of that boy aspect. And one of the things I like to do is, as part of my church, we work what we call a Men in Making program, addressing young men to help them go through a lot of the trauma and talk through a lot of the issues that they experience, whether they have a father in the home or not. But one of the things I do now as a practitioner is we hold a fatherhood group twice a month virtually for fathers. We create a safe space for fathers to open up and to express themselves. And a lot of times women think of it as like a bash the mama, bash the woman, but that's not what we do. We have opportunities for men to actually cry and open up, understanding that they won't be judged, and that let them pour out their hearts, what's really going on. Because to deal with those mental health issues, a barrier I face, which I had to reframe as I began to get into the work, is understanding that my emotions can either tear me down, or I can use them to build me up and to help others be built up as well. And so a lot of the trauma I went through, I took that and I reframed those experiences to use as teachable moments as I express and share those with other fathers. And my own transparency has helped so many dads. I had dads calling me and texting me as I was texting them on my way here, just checking in on them, and they were so appreciative of the fact that they knew they weren't alone. And sometimes knowing that we're not alone as we're going through that changes our whole world. It changes our perspective. It allows us to relate to our women differently, because we understand that I'm not crazy. I may just need to make a few adjustments to do what I need to do.
Thank you.
As it relates to me into that situation, I'm gonna revert back to what Mr. Patrick said. Sometimes a lot of men with the misunderstanding, and when we hearing about family, I always ask people what you consider family. Because when we see billboards, and I say African American family, I see a mother and kids. When I see the opposite, I see a dad, a mother, and kids. So what message are we portraying to the young men that are becoming fathers? When they don't see themselves in a picture, they don't feel like they belong there. So we need to change that first. And then we talk about a lot of the programming and a lot of the organization that can help women better understand, better relate to the men. A lot of information they're receiving, they're dealing with women that oversee a lot of these organizations that come from broken relationships. So they'll try to pass that information, what they have dealt with, on to these women and make a big disconnection with what they're trying to do. So I think sometime in helping these men begin to understand and get them to take their place, we have to understand who's giving them the information and how they're receiving that information that they're being given. Because I deal with men, and I'm not gonna never believe that black men don't wanna be fathers.
That's right.
A lot of black men are ashamed because they can't take care of their kids, right? And how can we have conversations with men about being a better father when they even can't provide for their family? It's easy for people to judge because your family is being taken care of. Your child ain't got to go to bed hungry. So we are asking men to come in for an hour, 45 minutes, and let me tell you this great story, how to be a great father. But after the program over, he faced with how he gonna feed his kids, how he gonna keep the lights on, right? So we have to start having real conversations and really impacting these men's life for them to really become involved and understand that they're not in this fight alone. Just having a conversation with them is cool, but at the end of the day, when your job is over, at 4:30, 5 o'clock, you goes home, that father still have problems and burdens that he gonna deal with, right? And I always tell men in my program, don't allow people to tell you they trying to help you, because you cannot help me if you don't know me. My situation ain't the same as Joey next door. It may look all good, but it's different. So we got to have different conversations. We got to have real conversations. And what makes these conversations hard for a lot of the people with great intentions is you have to do control damage. Because a lot of people that came before you done lied to these people, done told them stories. Just to get their name on a piece of paper so you can submit it. You're gonna bamboozle these men. And you want them to believe in the system. And you want them to believe that it's great on the other side. We have to be more real and look at the situation for what it is and stop trying to sugarcoat it. Stop trying to, because we want this, we don't want to get a true impact. These brothers really need to know how important it is for them to be in their kids' lives. I partnered with ROBE and Rose two years ago, and we started giving baby showers through Healthy Start and through these organizations, making it possible to give an all-male baby shower for all fathers. And the purpose for that was, I got tired of going to baby shower and everybody, you ran the mother, prodding her around, the dad he just there. So I want you to understand that you was just important as the mother, because without you, the baby wouldn't be your neither. So we have to start putting that man in that position so he can understand he belongs in that position. On you, Carl.
Barriers, access to resources. Men need resources. There's nothing more hurting to a man than not being able to take care of his family. And that's real. And a lot of us run away because of that, if we are not able to adequately fulfill our duties within our husbandry. That's just a certain amount of pride that goes along with being a man and handling business, you know. You've heard some words today like man up, you know, and stuff like that. It's real. And the thing that has happened in America for the black man is that we're being graded by the same standards as the white man who has been in power because of white supremacy and all of the stuff. We know the stuff that they've done to keep a black man from being better than him. And we've had to endure those challenges. Those are the barriers, because the systemic, individual, and structural racism has residual effects, and that's what brothers are fighting against. We don't get those good jobs with those benefits. We don't get a lot of the benefits of society that those in the majority get, and we have to deal with that. Those are barriers. We experience microaggressions around our children. We are embarrassed. Look at envision that scene from 12 Years a Slave when Mariah Carey is sitting over on the porch and her husband is in the field and their young son is there, and the slave master walks up and he sees her sitting on the porch and he runs over and drags her into the hut. And the little boy sees the interaction and he goes, "Daddy, you ain't gonna do nothing?" And Dad looks at the slave master when he come back pulling his pants up. He walks up to him and he goes, "Hey," and the man shoots him in the face. That's what we're dealing with as black men. Because the whole scenario has been painted to make us look bad and to make them look better than us. I know that. I see that. I've lived this. And not much has changed. So the barriers that we faced yesterday, we're still facing today. Today, we have to move differently. We're moving differently today, like Calvin said. We're doing baby showers for men. We're doing boy, man, father, where men come together and talk about it. We're talking about the Green Book the way it was, and we're talking about how can we move to avoid this. We're talking with YMO. How did you protect your organization for 138 years? That's what we visited last night. barriers. We'll become barriers for ourselves if we don't learn to protect what we built. So that's where I'm
So it just came to me to point out that the fatherhood field is about 30 years old. I don't want it to sound like we haven't made progress, right? In Ohio, there are at least, well, the major cities, Cincinnati, Columbus, and Cleveland, have at least, most of them have 2 long-standing fatherhood programs. And then in small town and rural Ohio, we have fatherhood programs too, funded by the Ohio Commission on Fatherhood. So there are a lot of men getting access to services. There are a lot of men who are having barriers removed. And I think, those internal barriers, mental, emotional, behavioral health, those type of things, they combine with what you guys are talking about, housing, employment, transportation, healthcare, and childcare, right? But we are making progress. Look, I work in a human service agency that employs 900 people and has about $8-9 billion a year run through it. And they created a position called fatherhood coordinator, expressly interested in being better at engaging and serving fathers in family and adult assistance, child welfare, child support, and workforce development. So we are making progress, right?
Yep. Thank you for that. So we talked about some of the past and present barriers. Could we discuss a little bit some of the next steps or some of the activities that you see or that you've heard of that you would like to scale up or you think the country or your state could benefit from? And we'll start with Reggie.
So I think one of the things is important that we don't just acknowledge maternal infant health, right? I think saying maternal infant health already excludes the father, right? Like what language can we incorporate to make sure that when we're talking about families, we're talking about families, and we're talking about the importance of all those support systems that are in place. I think that is one of the next steps that we can begin to incorporate. Much like Calvin was just saying, when we're talking about family programs, let's put those resources out there. Why should we have to wait to find out, what a family needs when we already know some of the landscape based off of geography, what problems exist? Let's already have those resources ready available so when those families are being discharged from the hospital, hey, here's some resources for you right away, instead of families struggling trying to figure their way out.
Thank you. Kevin?
I think, just like Kelvin said, first of all, I like to see that all organizations that are present here, that the men appreciate the progress that we have made for us putting something in place in the organizations, right? There has been millions and millions of dollars has always been given for mother and child. And now, through the fight of Mr. Ken Harris, other components who've been fighting, we have to understand that the father have to be included. Now federal dollars are coming down or putting in place programs for men to be a part and have that space. But it has to get bigger, right? Like in hospital situations, it has to be something being taught for men who know nothing so whatever about postpartum. I talk to guys in my group about postpartum. They're like, man, what is you talking about? Right? What is that, right? So they don't know. They're not being given, they're not shown videos, and like some of my most hurting stories when fathers talk about the mistreatment they receive going to hospitals to try to be with the woman who's giving birth to their child, right? They're not being acknowledged, right? And when we all here this whole week been here for breastfeeding, men want to be a part of that, but there's nobody really teaching them and giving them space because they think black men don't care. That's the whole stereotype about everything good, black men don't care about it. But let's talk about some bad things. You're gonna see it on news, you're gonna see it here and there, but nothing good gonna highlight what a black brother is doing for his family, for his community. But let him break the law. His picture gonna be on the 5 o'clock news, and they're gonna kneel it in because that's how they want to portray us. So I think we moving in the right directions. I just think we need to have more programming that teaches brothers a lot of more things on how to help their child, right? I think a lot of WIC clinics are becoming more supportive of men that's walking in there, because at one time, a brother walked in a WIC clinic, you thought he was an alien, right? But people was forgetting if something happened to the mother, that dad gotta come get that formula. So he need to be treated and understand he's welcome in that space. Cause if I go in a place and I feel like everybody looking at me like I'm crazy and I ain't welcome, I'ma ease on back up out that boy, cause it ain't no place I wanna be. Right. So men have to people have to understand that you have to make that space welcome, right? Then he gonna open up, you'll be able to talk to him. If it's no more, how you doing, Dad? Glad you came today to be in support. Things like that make a big difference. So we just have to understand how we're looking at everything. What we can do can make it better. We already know the things that's working. What things we can do to make it better, that's what we should really be dealing with and trying to get a better understand, because it's gonna get better. You have brothers, you have sisters that's fighting for it to get better, so it's gonna get better. They have no choice but to allow us to move forward, because we're not going backwards. We refuse to go backwards.
We're breaking out of the silos, for one thing. Thank you, Brother Ken Harris and Brother Patrick, because the technical assistance that is needed for us to position ourselves to really do this work effectively. Right now, I'm studying to be a CLC, okay? That's progress. That shows that we're serious about the work. And we are, right now, ROBE, we're part of a 25-member collaboration in the city of Atlanta called Fathers Matter ATL, where we have just had June declared as Fatherhood Celebration Month. And we're doing this again, like I said, we're coming out of the silos and we're collaborating with other agencies that are getting things done. So we have an ecosystem, a system of care for the men that we serve. And it's not like we're just shooting from the hip. We now have the expertise because of the model of roles to be able to render evidence-based, research-based information, because men don't want to hear you shooting from the hip. You know, when we go to a man and we say, listen, bro, do you know what the breast's made for? They want to know that we know what we're going to be talking about when they give an answer and it's wrong. They want to know that we got the correct answer. That's just the way men are made. They don't just trust. That's why research, we don't do a whole lot of research with the medical establishment because of the past, but that's just the way men are wired. But at any rate, the work is coming full circle. We're getting smarter about the work because of men like Patrick and because of men like Ken and others in this room, because of women like, the first thing Dr. Bugg said to me was, I'm nominating you, I'm suggesting that you be a part of Morehouse School of Medicine Community Leadership Health Project. I said, well, I was scared. But she put me in a position to be able to credential myself, to position myself to be able to really offer some real good training to our constituents. Young dad sitting in the back, the progress that is happening today was a part of Fulton County Call to Manhood Teen Dads program. He's here with us today, a young brother taking us into the future. Stand up for us, Brother Kenya. But a young brother taking us into the future. And he showed up the other day at an event with 7 other young brothers, okay? So this is what's happening, a rite of passage. We're envisioning rite of passage. So stuff is happening. We're moving into the future. We're serious about it. We're taking our stuff back.
Same question. Next steps or things that you see that are working well that we need to focus on or
To
highlight
scale
more.
up.
Yep, scale up.
Yeah, 2 things I think about. One is justice for not married, non-custodial dads who just get their teeth kicked in these juvenile family court systems. You know, when we talk about father absence, we don't talk about that part a lot, right? Where moms conspire with child welfare, family court, child support, police, probation, parole to keep dad away from the kids. So why don't we scale up something to knock that off? The other thing I think about is when we talk about fathers and breastfeeding, I am on fire about this theoretical and conceptual research that came out of the International Marseille Society. Is anybody a member here? I thought it was obscure when I joined it. I guess it's even more so. So they're an interdisciplinary group internationally, psychologists, OBGYNs, psychiatrists, and they have a father special interest group, which intrigued me, so I joined. They put out a conceptual and theoretical research paper on fathers and reproductive health, which said to me, this is a new frontier, because they are grounded in current research, they're theorizing how mom and baby's life could be improved if dads were engaged early in life with reproductive health. So that's something that's exciting for me, that unless I miss my mark, that's going to be a real frontier for the fatherhood field.
Can you show me how to put this on? Can you show me how to put the YouTube video on? While she's coming up. Kevin, you wanted to speak about the position of leadership and how you wanted it to reflect more of the communities that they were serving, so men serving men, and one of our speakers earlier mentioned hiring men in order to improve men fatherhood programs or male-based programs. You wanted to share any more about that?
Oh, yes, I think that's real simple, Wes. What's happening is that a lot of, at one time, I'm just gonna be real. Can I just be real with this story, y'all? All right. Can I be real? All right. When I started really recruiting and going out in real communities that was considered dangerous communities, recruiting dads to bring them into the program, I was always shadowed by a person of the opposite race, right? And I'm going through the communities, and guys so that everybody, my nickname, they call me Nah. They say, Nah, man, you got the police with you, man? What's going on? So none of the men wanted to really talk to me. So I had to go back to the administration. I said, look, either two things. Are you trying to get me killed? I'm trying to understand, because I'm telling you, and if you want me to do this work, I have to move with people that these people in this community can relate to, right, and understand, right? It's not, I tell people all the time, you don't have to have PhDs and all these titles by your name, because a lot of people that you're dealing with don't even much understand none of those titles, none of those words, right? So you way above them. They need people to understand and meet them right where they're at. And my encouragement always to them is that if Carl Root trying to help me, ain't nowhere in the world I'm gonna let Carl want more for me than I want for myself. So that's what I tell them. If somebody trying to help you, you gotta go harder than them, right? This is what I try to encourage the men, but they need to see more people to show concern, not people, and I'm gonna always say this, and a lot of people don't like it. They don't just need people showing up in the community, they're trying to get signatures on the paper to get money saying you serve this community and you ain't did jap shit for them. They're bleeding our communities, right? And for so long I had a conversation with Kelvin, I had a conversation with Greg, I had a conversation with Kent. You know, I'm seeing the picture. You're telling me to go do this work, and I'm reporting back to you how this work need to be done, and you're trying to tell me what you think when you never came out this office and walked down block in this hood. How you gonna tell me how to do this work? How is you gonna tell me how to do this work? I'm boots on the ground. You're not going down there. You're afraid of these people. But you getting the millions of dollars and giving a handout for us to go do your work, and you don't give a damn about the people. Let's just be real about it. This is why the black people in the community have distrust for a lot of organizations, because they feel like you ain't doing nothing but coming down here trying to use us for them people to get money, all these researches about us this and us that, but ain't nobody doing shit for us at the end of the day. And that's just point blank, Wesley.
So we got about 7 more minutes. Try to get through one more round of questions, and I want to open up to the audience. I'm sure they have questions they want to ask you as well. We'll just go with a closing. So if you could, everybody, kind of think about your parting words to the group, and everybody, I'm sure, will hopefully get your email, your address, send you some love and send you some more questions and thoughts and concerns. Let's start whichever direction we want.
I'm always ready to freestyle. Kevin,
let them know about the Royal C too while you got the mic.
Just don't break out of the church.
That's what I was getting ready to say. Kevin told me not to sing. and I know right behind him stopping me is Kimmery, because she's done it before. I'm encouraged as a man, a black man, a father, a CLC, a fatherhood practitioner. I'm encouraged. I see signs in my community, in my state. I see signs around the country where people are embracing the need to center fathers. And that's the way I'm saying it. I think we need to center fathers. And people say, well, you're trying to crowd somebody out, mom or whatever. No, we center fathers precisely because it's so easily to leave them out. They're easily dismissed and not thought of and considered. So you center them for that reason, and then you balance things out. So I'm encouraged by what I see, in my community around the country. Just thousands of examples. Every person on this panel could give a success story, an inspiring story about some father, some service delivered, those type of things, man. So I'm encouraged, and I would leave us with that. Stay encouraged.
I'm going to go with the word empowered. I really feel empowered by these type of experiences, right, coming together. I know that as much as it seems as if there's a bad rap when it comes to fatherhood, and I feel like there's a purposeful societal divide that's trying to be implemented when we're talking about black families, right? But being present in this room, there's a lot of women that chose to stay on a Saturday when y'all could be out shopping, doing whatever you wanted to do, right? But I feel empowered to continue to work with you all and alongside you all, because of the fact that I know that we have an understanding that together we can change this world. Like when we actually unify ourselves together and understand it's not a me against you, the divide shouldn't be amongst us at all, right? Because when we come together, they got to watch out. They're going to have to step out the way because what we bring to the table.
Just for the sake of time, I'm encouraged, and all I'm going to leave you with is that together we can, and together we will.
In the words of our fearless leader, a rising tide floats all boats. Whatever benefits, whatever gains we make in responsible fatherhood is not just for black men, it's for all men, and we need it here in these United States. Just want to give a shout out to the organization Black Man Lab, one of our partners in Atlanta, GA. We have partnered with them, and you see us with our shirts on today. We love y'all so much. We love y'all too much to allow our mothers and babies to keep dying. We love y'all too much. And there are several organizations. We go into neighborhoods where there's high crime rates and where there are murders, and there are at least 30 to 50 black men that go in with resources to hand out to the families of young black men, letting them know that we are here, we love y'all, and we got resources for you. Because most of us are resource deprived. They're out there hustling, trying to survive. They're not just out there trying to hurt nobody, okay? Believe me. So we go out there, and that's what this campaign is all about. We love y'all too much.
All right, so I want to try to show a quick video really quickly. Some of you all may have seen this. So Kevin just spoke about postpartum issues that a birthing person may face when she leaves the hospital. And he was such a strong advocate for that we created this video. And we encourage you all to make videos, and we can help with that if asked, that reflect the needs of your community. So hopefully, that's what I was hoping. There we go.
Our postpartum story starts off leaving the hospital with our baby boy. I love my son.
While I held my grandson, I noticed my daughter crying. That was unusual. She is always so strong. She also didn't want to hold her son that much.
My daughter refused food. She's what young folk call a foodie. So her not eating was strange, especially since she was breastfeeding.
Well, I'm no doctor, but when I seen Angel's feet swollen, I said we have to get to the hospital now.
Knowing the signs saved my wife's life. We learned about the signs on breastfeedingrobe.org. Thanks, Robe. You changed our lives. Learn more on breastfeedingrobe.org.
So that was a quick little video for young guys to see some of the signs and symptoms to look for.
There are three simple changes I tell all of my arthritis.
For complications when she comes home. So swollen feet, lack of appetite, detachment from the child, things like that. And you could see there were several people in her lives that were aware of that, so they could see it, spot it. She didn't have to self-report. She didn't have to say, I don't feel good, so let me go take care of the problem. So this community that we have in here, people who can watch this video, they can now become alert and aware of things to look for to save a life.